how growing companies need to think about cost from your
You brought
perspective?
up it's a very, good point what both Dr. Tom and you have brought in. It's about shifting the mindset. Generally companies think cost optimization is not about slashing budget. It's about rebalancing spend to maximize growth capital while keeping
Mm.
the service quality high, right? It's from moving from an elimination mindset to a reallocation.
All right, welcome to Ninestone Partners Stack to Scale. Happy New Year 2026, everybody. We've got Dinesh and Dr. Tom with us. Dinesh is going to be talking about cost optimization, which we have found to be absolutely key as we're growing companies and preparing them for an exit. So, Dinesh, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, your experience, your company, and then we're going to jump into some specific ways that organizations can basically leverage cost optimization to support their growth. So thank you, sir.
Thanks, Alex, and thanks, Dr. Tom, for giving me this opportunity. Hello, everyone. Wish you a happy New Year 2026, and wish you all success for a amazing year. So, Alex, I like to call myself as a profit keeper for businesses. You know,
All right.
what we have seen is businesses, whether small, medium, or large, they're good in running their business, but they don't know how to optimize, or they don't have time to ensure that they are now not overpaying for their vendor services like telecom bills, waste pickup, uniforms, facility supplies, fuel
True.
purchases, and more. So that is where our firm Schoolie Mitchell and I come and add value to them. We just do three simple things for our customers. Every business usually have a contract with their vendor. We take a copy of their contract. We take the last 3 months invoices. We have proprietary software which analyzes the data point. The first thing it spits out is, are you getting billed as per the contract? You'd be surprised when I look at certain companies, you know, they have contracts which was 15 years old. Somebody signed off, they
Yep.
left the company and don't even have a track of, where things are, right? So that is the first thing what we do. And, 60% of the time, we find a lot of billing errors. So we then consolidate everything, go to your vendor, we recover that money for you. So that is the first thing. The second thing what we ensure is we have industry experts who understand the business very well. So we look at your, expenses, we look at your, structure and ensure, are there any leakages? Can we optimize certain things, right? So this way you're ensuring the leakages are plugged in, and which ultimately saves money. I'll explain certain examples as we go along, but I just want to touch upon certain key things. And the last part comes price negotiation. Now, everybody has a capacity to negotiate. Everybody does that negotiation, right?
Yep.
The difference where we bring in is our scope of looking at things are much larger.
Mm.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, would it be better if you benchmark your, let's say you're benchmarking with 50 businesses versus benchmarking your expenses with 35,000 businesses? Which sounds better?
Yep.
Yeah, that's an easy no-brainer, right? So you're talking about things like when we're negotiating telecom rates, right? You're
Yeah,
negotiating for 35,000 businesses versus my one.
exactly.
So you get better rates.
Of course, because we have built data over the last 25 years. We have that cloud and knowledge, which we are leveraging to your advantage. So in Gambit as a whole, these three things ensure that the businesses are not overspending. And we just don't stop there. For the next 3 years, we are your vendor watchdogs. We handhold you and we ensure that your expenses don't creep up, but only just comes down. So we ensure you are just optimized over a period of time. So this is what I do.
Okay, so Schoolie Mitchell has a tagline. What is that? It's the 5% equals something to your bottom line.
Yeah, good that you brought up your point, that point, because I just wanted to touch upon that. So this is a statement which I usually use in my email signature, and this is a research done by Gartner, which I kind of use it. So what Gartner did a study on different businesses across North America, and they found out that a 5% reduction in your cost has an equal impact, has the same impact to your bottom line as suppose, increasing your revenue by 30%.
Okay, I'm going to pause there. Tom, sales guru, Dr. Tom, what have you seen? We've been working with Dinesh, right? We've been working with organizations. 5% savings on the cost side can equal up to 30% increase in revenue, right? So we spend a lot of time on sales. How does that impact? Like, what is that true? Do you think it's real? What have you seen?
Well, I mean, I have seen, I have to go with the research that has that, but I have seen the amount of effort that's required for each one of those things. And I do believe that there is a exponential growth um, in that model. I always think to tell people, especially when you're scaling, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Right?
Yep.
That's such an important part of the revenue generation. And here at Stats to Scale, honestly, just because of me and Alex, because of you, we've invited a lot of people and we've really focused sort of on that revenue growth side of things. And that's why we have Dinesh on this episode, is because I don't think we've given this aspect of the business airtime as we should, because it does look at the entirety of your business. And I do see that there are advantages to looking at an operational cost side of things that is almost not quite, but almost a sales strategy, if you will, when you're trying to grow your business and at least trying to maintain profit. The question I have back to Dinesh is, and this is the first question that comes to my mind, and probably a lot of our audience members, is we do work across multiple industries. And what's good for one industry from a expense governance perspective may not necessarily be good for another as far as benchmarks or where the
Yep.
money is really should be spent. Can you speak towards that approach? Because I'm assuming you optimize, right? So you have some input on how people should be looking at their expenses.
Yes, Dr. Tom, I think you brought up a very good point. But uh, you know, over a period of 25 years with 35,000 customers, we have touched upon, businesses from different industries. Now, everybody has certain unique way of running their business, certain things. But end of the day, if you look at certain cost category like waste or telecom, it's just going to be common across any industry, right? Whether you are a not-for-profit, whether you are a manufacturing, whether you are a distribution company or a professional law firm, you have cell phone service. You may have certain whistles and blows, but your cell phone is a cell phone, right? You have waste pickup, people coming and picking up your recycling. It's just going to be same across industries. Manufacturing might have certain hazardous waste getting produced. Restaurants may have a lot of food getting picked up. But end of the day, it's all waste, right? And then what applies for one industry sometimes can easily be replicated to various other businesses. That's the success where we are able to bring in. So like I'll give an example. I have a non-profit client where we just concluded an analysis. They produce a lot of organic waste, and they've been with the vendor for 22 years. And, when I approached the executive director, he said, "Hey, look, this is a 22-year-old relationship. I'm not sure what you guys can do." But he understood the business model and he said, "Look, I'm not spending any money with you now unless you find me savings. So, yeah, just go and look at it." Next week, I'm going to present him a value report. We found him 22.5% savings with the same vendor.
With the same
Wow.
vendor. See,
With the
Yeah.
that's
same,
important. See, this is the point I'm trying to make, because there are relationships in organizations that are valuable almost to the point that I'm willing to spend a premium. Right? So
Oh,
for
yeah, for
example,
sure.
right? So for example,
yep,
if I have a relationship with somebody and somebody says, and Alex, you and I have had this conversation in the past. You have a good relationship with somebody and they're a premium, but that if like stuff like, poo-poo's the bed, as we call it, right? You can lean on them and call them at the last minute,
Yep.
or to fix whatever it might be. We have an internet service provider that's a client of ours, and that's one of their selling points, is they may not necessarily be the cheapest, but they're
Yeah.
24/7, right? Where other vendors are not, and that may have a premium to it that as a business owner I have no problem paying. That's what I want to talk about is the impact of expense on a business, whether it be relationship or maybe uh, premium services and software. For example, if I have a particular software that cuts a bunch of labor out, but it's more expensive than say another, right? Is there where's that give and take calculation in the system here?
Yeah, I mean, you brought about certain important aspects which I just wanted to, build upon. You
Mm-hmm.
said like uh, businesses value relationship, and sometimes that relationship will act as a hindrance for you to, go and look at certain things. Plus, what happens is it's a very dynamic environment. What happens 18 months back may not be even relevant now because it's an ever changing world with so many things happening, right? Vendors always try to optimize their expense, their business model, and they try to come up with innovative products and new things which can help businesses to reduce their thing. But sometimes we need to ask, and people don't have time to ask. They're hesitant, right?
That's true.
Plus,
Yeah.
you know plus their concentration is on their core activities. Nobody is going to go back and look at what these vendor waste management companies are doing on a daily basis or a monthly basis. Nobody has time, right? That is where businesses smartly utilize services like me, because now I'm coming as an independent third party guy trying to, look at things from an outsider, right? And then with my visibility across the industry and across different domains, now where I can do is without hampering the relationship, I come inside and try to, get them certain, things, which help them save money. And if you look at, we usually talk about like in a sales process, there is always a winner and loser. But you look at this business model where everybody is a winner. I come, I help the business save money, so they are winning, right? I get paid from the savings, so I win. And for the vendor, he also gets an assured business because he knows that there is a professional looking at it. So they are always going to stay on top of it and ensure the service levels and pricing are optimized.
Mm.
So the business is not going elsewhere.
So
How many times?
Dinesh, give us some examples. Like, okay, we work a lot with professional services. We work a lot with manufacturing organizations, um, distributors, logistics. I mean, we've even worked in aerospace and defense. Just tell us a few stories. Like, what should companies be looking at where they can save? Because you just told me a story before we jumped on here about 60+% savings, right? Tell that
Yeah.
story. Tell a few stories so that our listeners get a sense of like, oh, yeah, we have that. We should think about that.
Exactly. So thanks for that opportunity, Alex. So I have this manufacturing client based out of US. They are like a mid-size automotive parts manufacturers doing a lot of clutches, brake drums, brake pads. You know, uh, I just got to know the president, and then I presented my business model, and he said, "Oh, it's quite interesting." And he said, like, "Look, we are a small team, and we stay on top of our costs, but
Yeah.
there is nothing, no risk in trying your service. Please come and just look at our case." We start off with telecom. They had 21 landlines in their office. Same vendor for, I would say, almost 8+ years. Out of the 21, 9 landlines were missing a discount for almost 5 years, and nobody even noticed it.
So you're
Right?
saying they could have saved that for 5 years,
Exactly. Yeah, they missed it.
but
I
now
mean,
you can save it moving forward, right?
exactly. Exactly. The first thing what we found is, okay, there is a discount on these bills. Why are not on these lines? Straight away, got these savings, implemented, corrected, and we tried to recover some money from the vendor because it was like a 5-year-old thing, but we could definitely recover something. But at least going forward, it was optimized, right? And then we found, his internet was separate, his landline was separate. We clubbed together with the same vendor, and then, we got like a volume discount which was saving him close to 24%, right? So just look at,
So,
what data points and things, simple things can, lead into a bigger, savings for him. All he did
so
is
no,
spend me.
so I just want to highlight this. No change. right? Same number of phone lines, same internet, 24% savings by applying discounts that already exist through the vendor and bundling services that they hadn't thought about. Look, Dinesh, if you asked me, hey, do you want to spend time on telecommunications for your office? I would say, please no. I'd rather do there's so many things I would rather do than go back and negotiate telecommunications contracts for our business, right? So I see why people don't want to deal with that. But if you told me there's 24% savings on the line or more, and you would do it for me, then yeah, I'm interested.
I know
Right, Tom?
the best thing is, Alex, you're not going to spend more than 45 minutes time here. And all I need is just 2 data points, your contract copy, last 3 months of invoices, and probably a letter of authorization because some vendors ask for authorization so that I can talk. As
Yep.
simple as that, right? How simple can we make it, right?
Yeah, and we've gone through this process with Dinesh, and it was very easy. So you did make it a painless process for us, which we appreciated, right? We wouldn't put you on our podcast. We drink our own champagne, Dr. Tom likes to say, right? So the reason in part that you're on here is because we know that you're someone that we can trust. So give us another story, right? Tell us another one.
Okay. This is again a fleet customer based out of Canada, Toronto here. So they have close to like 200, trucks which, operate between US and Canada. So started off with one category because they were a bit hesitant, when we were saying we need authorizations and this like that. I said, okay, why don't we just look at your garbage? Pretty simple. They said, yeah, what's the risk in, looking at our garbage invoices? They said, yeah, take it, please. Right. So we got the copy of the contract, got the, last 3 months of invoices. First thing what we usually do is we set up a baseline report so that the client knows what he's paying, because that's important, right? We need to tell where the savings are going to come from a comparative. So did the baseline, and when he saw the baseline itself, oh, are we paying so much for waste? I said, yes, this is what you're paying. He definitely at this point of time clearly knew that they were overpaying because they were not even paying attention to it. We did our analysis, came back with a 54.86% savings without a vendor change.
Okay,
See,
so
that's important.
yeah, that's super important. But and Dinesh, can you give us a sense of like 54%? Like how much money could that be for an organization? Like a range or something? Can you share anything?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it could range anywhere from, few $1,000s, looking at what they are paying. Now, in this case, I think my customer over a period of 3 years, he would be saving close to $30,000 plus from this, renegotiated, thing. Now, look at he again spent probably 30 minutes because it was waste, simple category, two locations. That's it, right?
Tom, one
We,
category, right?
Yep.
sorry,
Yeah.
two locations, one
Okay,
category,
two
right?
locations, one category. Tom,
Yeah,
Tom has brought up, Dinesh, that there's a partnership here. There's a strategic partnership with folks like you that Ninestone is trying to think deeper about, which is when we come in, Tom, to think about marketing and sales systems, right, that cost money in order to grow, right, cost money to make more money. Sometimes our clients are saying, well, how am I going to get that cash? Right. And one of the things that we've said is, well, go talk to Dinesh
yeah,
about how we can save you. There are situations where we can save somebody enough money to pay for our entire retainer to grow them 100% plus ROI in 1 year through their cost optimization, right? Or their credit card processing savings, or some of these savings to the bottom line that you're talking about, Dinesh. So this is something, Tom, like, I just want you to comment on it, Tom. Like, why are we a marketing and sales team that cares about this stuff?
Well, because I go back to the saying, right? It's not what you make, but it's what you keep. But also, it is the impetus for growth. If expenses are going to a place that shouldn't be going, like your expenses should really be going to sales and marketing. I'll give you an example is take a look at people's sales and marketing expense itself. Somebody that is let's I'm going to kind of make this a little mushy just to give a generalized view. An average sales and marketing expenditure should be somewhere around 10% of somebody's gross revenue. Now, if you're smaller, that percentage is probably going to be bigger. If you are not very good at it, that expense is going to be even more, right? So why do we care about that, right? So from a sales and marketing perspective, we care because we're trying to lower that expense just as part of what we do. But we also care because it does require some money, and we want to reallocate some money from arguably some of these expenses that Dinesh has described that really provide absolutely no value to the growth of the company to something that would provide growth to the company. And so we've gotten to be a point where we're looking at that side of the ledger as well as the revenue side of the ledger. Again,
Yeah, so you're
purely from
saying
an
like
allocation.
how do we take found money, right?
Right.
In a business, how do you take that money and essentially invest it more wisely
Exactly.
into
Exactly.
marketing and sales systems that do two things, right? So we're creating revenue, Dinesh, right? Generating
Yep.
more revenue. But as we generate more revenue and have more efficient systems, we actually create more business valuation at a like a multiplying factor, right? So it's
Exactly. Yep.
these things are happening at once, right? And you're lowering your overall expense, so you're becoming more efficient as a business. So Dinesh, I'd like you to chat a little bit about this piece. The companies we work with are growing, right? They're often hiring more people. They're expanding operations, a big part of it, right? If you
Yep.
generate more revenue, you need more operational support and things. And a lot of these companies are not, as they're adding this stuff and these expenses, they're not renegotiating them, right?
Yep.
And on the flip side, some companies have become much more efficient and they're contracting, right, on the operations side, and they're not going back and looking at renegotiating things from years ago, right? So,
Correct.
uh, tell us maybe another few more stories about like how growing companies need to think about cost from your
You brought
perspective.
a very, it's a very, good point what both Dr. Tom and you have brought in. It's about shifting the mindset. Generally companies think cost optimization is not about slashing budget. It's about rebalancing spend to maximize growth capital while keeping
Mm.
the service quality high, right? It's from moving from an elimination mindset to a reallocation mindset, isn't it?
There you go.
See,
Yep.
when companies cut
Bingo. I love that.
when companies cut cost, what essentially they are doing is they are looking at a short-term win, but they are compromising on a long-term quality and growth prospect, right? But when the word what you rightly said, when we call the found money, we are essentially taking money which the business is already spending, but cutting the inefficiencies, so freeing up all those, money from the telecom spend, waste, uniforms, blah, 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 and then using that for strategic growth,
There you
which,
go.
as you rightly pointed out, we are looking at both ends of the spectrum. We are cutting cost on the bottom line, so your bank balance goes up, and now using that bank balance and investing in strategic things, which is going to have a multiplier effect for the business. Now, I'm sure every businessman would have come to business with that long-term perspective in mind, right? Nobody thinks about, okay, what can I do for 1 year, 2 year? They have 5 year, 10 year, 15 year goals, right? So this aptly fits into that, and we can come and do it, without disrupting their operations, without, changing anything, but at the same time showing them a way to, free up capital for these strategic investments.
The reallocation word is the important word here. I think you would be, and I'm talking to those that might be looking to take on Dinesh's services. I think you would be short-sighted if you were to take a look this as kind of a savings program. I think
Yeah.
it's more of a reallocation program that I think you'll start finding those multipliers. The other thing I want to highlight, and Dinesh, maybe you can color commentary on my comment, is the change management component of this. If you're talking about going right back to the same vendor and the same service and the same everything that, hey, by the way, you like, so that's the key, right? So
Yeah.
if I pick up the phone or if I go on my
Mm-hmm.
internet and it's my telco and it works every time, it like becomes like furniture. It's like it's just there. I don't even think about it, and therefore I don't know how much I'm paying for it because it's fine.
Yep.
If you then turn
And
around and go, I don't have to literally do anything different from a change management perspective, but I'm going to pay 24% less. That is, I don't know what the value is, but that value is even more because anytime you create change, that is expensive. There's a change
yes.
Exactly.
management tax, right? I'll call it the change
Yep.
management tax,
It
right?
totally is.
Right. It's like somebody
Yeah.
goes, somebody comes and says, hey, look, if you move to this other telco, you'll save 20%, but it takes me 30% worth of that money to make the move and the change. Well, of course, then I blew all of my savings right out of the gate, and I might not even like the service to begin with.
Yeah, I
So
mean, this simple
that's of course,
example, Tom, right?
right.
Right.
Yep.
It in our office, right? Our team works remote, right? But here in my office, I'm in a real office, right? And Dinesh, if you said same service, no change, 24% savings, done, sign me up, right? If
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
said you're going to get a 24% savings, but the folks got to come out, they got to rewire your office, right? You got to make sure that you're available. Then you have to rehook up all the computers to the office, and then you got to reset all your parameters on your routers, and you're this and you're that. I'm like, I don't think so.
Right. And that phone that
Like,
you
I
really
just don't
like
want to
that
do
you
it
use
right
all
now.
right. Well, no, and that phone that you really like, well, actually it doesn't work with the model that we want. So you got to get a new model and you got to relearn how to
Oh
use that,
yeah,
right?
and your
All that
your
change gets
your
spent,
your
right?
HubSpot stuff doesn't work with this new provider,
Right.
right? Right? We have to go through all these things to think about. No, I mean, at some point, it becomes too big of a hassle, right? Uh, and
Exactly.
and and I get that. Like we've talked to companies who've said, "Hey, we can save you a bunch of money on your credit card processing," right? A little bit different from what you do, and they've said, "Well, at a certain threshold." Statistically, people make that choice. But if you're not saving at least this much money, it's too much of a hassle, right? So
Exactly.
you're
Yeah.
coming in saying, look, there's opportunity to keep exactly what you got. But there are times where you actually do change things and make them better,
Yeah,
right?
that's important too.
So can you talk a little bit about the occasions where you've said, like, look, there's some better options out there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like 80% of the time, we have found success getting, re-rates with an incumbent vendor. As you said, it is less painful. But, there are some cases where, one the vendor, I mean, the customer wants a change just for, looking at other opportunities. He's not happy with the service. The rep would have changed, new people would have come. They still don't have that, existing old relationship. And, things are not going well, right? Or sometimes we might bring in a savings which will open your mouth. Oh, wow, is this much savings is available outside? I'll give an example. I have a distribution customer. He wanted us to come and look at again their waste management expenses. He was with an existing vendor for 8 years, right? And he said, yeah, this is what I do and I have no problem with service, everything looks good, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I'm paying. No, we did our analysis, we did our benchmarking, we just went in the markets, looked at, various other options. We came back and showed him a similar 100% exact similar service from a different company with a 79.87% savings.
Oh, it's just,
Now, this savings, in spite of, paying the early termination fees and other things, the customer was again saving to the tune of $42,000 in the period of 5 years, in spite of
yeah,
paying an
yeah,
early termination fee to get out of the contract. Now, when I showed this option to him, he didn't even spend too much time. He said, let's go ahead with the change.
yep,
I know I'm happy with the service, but this is too much of a money to leave across the table, right? He said, yeah,
yep,
please go ahead and implement the change for me. Now, to your both your points, change is always painful and companies, don't want to do it. Now, the biggest
Yeah.
advantage with us is we handle all the transition. Now, with this customer, I'm going to look at the paperwork. I'm going to coordinate removing the old bin, placing of the new bin, and I'm going to, ensure
oh wow,
everything is, happening, smooth.
yep.
What the customer is doing, he's reviewing my recommendations. He's just signing off my recommendations and he's just providing me signatures. That's it.
Hmm.
Wow. So tell us let's go through just a few, so a few of the industries that we support. Um, Professional services. Where are the just list off the top areas where companies often save?
Professional services, usually telecom would be the biggest spend because they have like a lean office. They don't have much of waste or other things, but I would say telecom would be their number one spend, or the number one category where we can look at and help them save money. And they could be doing a lot of small package shipping, documents, envelopes, and things like that. Again, that's a very complicated, area where people don't understand. There are cases like, let's say you send a document in FedEx and you want a 10 a.m. delivery next day morning. If FedEx delivers it at 10:02, you are eligible for a service guarantee refund. But this is not done automatic. You need to monitor the delivery time, and then if they default, you need to manually go back and apply for these things. Tell me, who has time to look at these, nitty-gritties,
So
right?
you have
But
software that supports figuring that stuff out, or what?
yes, yes, we have proprietary
Wow.
and we have team which keeps a monitoring of all these things. And there are certain things which are time critical. Sometimes the SGRs have to be claimed within 15 days. We can stay on top, ensure that the clients are getting back all these dollars which is legally owned to them or rightfully owned to them, right? So
Okay.
this is where professional services can save a lot of money.
So if you're in professional services, right, Dinesh, you can help whoever's listening, any of our clients, at the bare minimum, take a look at their telecommunications expenses and see what's out there in terms of savings. If there's no savings, no big deal, right? There's no cost associated with this,
Exactly.
right? Um,
Zero risk,
how,
zero risk.
yeah. What about okay? So what about in manufacturing? What are the top 2 or 3 ways that manufacturing companies save?
Waste management is number one. Uniform rentals could be the number two category. And again, depending on what they produce and ship, small package shipping or less than truckload shipping could be another category. If they have a fleet of their own, then we can look at their fuel expenses and electronic logging devices which are there, and of course facility supplies, office supplies or those things. And telecom is going to be common for them. Every company has cell phones, landlines, internet. So, but if you talk about top three, waste, uniforms, supplies, these could be the number one priority or pain point for them, which we can look at it.
Okay, so if a company's like, well, I don't make much waste or anything. Like, I don't really need this. What would you say to them?
So that's a good question. So we have certain minimum thresholds, which will ensure that we are able to get some value
Mm,
for them. So when they say this, I don't have much. The first question I ask is, okay, how much are you spending? And if I see that their spending is more than the threshold what we have, then I'll just go and talk about it and say, hey, look, you are definitely more than the threshold. So as per our benchmark, we can definitely bring you some meaningful savings.
yep.
And then it's up to them to decide, right?
Tom, you've been running companies for a long time, big companies and small companies, right? What is your 2 cents advice as we wrap up here? And Dinesh, we're going to give people have a chance to know how to connect with you. But what would you say to a business owner or founders or partners of an organization about this topic and cost optimization? Just like
Yeah.
give us the 2 cents.
Yeah. So first of all, cost optimization as a task is never a task in anybody's, right? It's if it's somewhere low in priority. It just is. People don't even know where to start with. Second, they have no position. One of the things that Dinesh and his company brings is the fact that there are about 35,000 other people strong to be part of that community. Um, and again, there's 2 components that I want to really highlight. The whole idea of cost optimization is having such an impact on growth and revenue, like Dinesh mentioned earlier, is something that I think is easy pickings. And second, the whole change management thing is a very real thing. And if you can get to a point where nothing changes, but you can operate at a lower cost, I do it every day, twice on Sunday. So that
Yep.
that would be my couple cents there.
So, Alex, if I may add just one point to what Dr. Tom, mentioned, the last thing is about sustainability. We talk about sustainability in everywhere, but nobody talks about sustainability in cost optimization.
Amen.
That's the
Yeah.
biggest. That's the biggest value what we can bring in. It's not just I come and do a one-time job and find you savings and I just go out of it. For 3 years, 5 years, I ensure that their costs are always
Hmm.
optimized. It's a repetition, which we bring in. And being in revenue management, you guys will understand repetition, the multiplier effect of what it can bring into the business, right? What I've seen from certain data points is like 43% of the companies, if they go into cost optimization on their own, they're able to be successful in year one. But if you look at in year two and year three, it drastically drops down to only 11% because
Wow.
priorities change, things
Yeah.
change. They don't keep a track on what's going on, and
Tom, that's your point, right?
they just lose all control.
There's a lot of companies don't have a position for that. So it's like maybe you went through the process once, but you're not going to do it again, especially as you're growing, right? And adding more
It's
resources and things. It's like maybe every couple years you might do it, but not every year, or not tracking it all the time like you all do, Dinesh.
We do it on a daily basis. That's the value what we bring in.
Yeah, yeah. So I think what we've found is, and Tom, you know, jump in here. What we found is there are a few things that our clients, that lots of clients should look at as kind of like an audit checklist, like cost optimization. We could put you in touch with Dinesh. He'll let you know if there's any opportunity there, right? That's free.
Yep.
Credit card processing. If you process credit cards, most of the time, we have partners who can save 30% on that, right? So now you have more found money. Insurance, right? Renegotiating your insurance every year, right? Major opportunity for firms all over the place to save money, even as insurance costs are going up. So these are things that they're all partners, vendors that can be doing this for you. We are going to take that money that you found, or at least part of it, and we want to invest it in marketing and sales efforts so that we can go multiply that in terms of generating revenue and creating value for the business when someone exits, right? Plus systems that are more advantageous. Somebody wants to buy those systems. So
here, here yeah, here's the dirty little secret that I'm going to bring out, and people have a really hard time connecting this. So when you look at valuations of a company, which you should all do, regardless of whether or not you want to sell, right? It's always better to own a company that people want to buy as opposed to a company that people don't want to buy, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's just start there. What do people want to buy? And here's the part that a lot of owners and people have, because their identity is wrapped into the company, is what do people want to buy? Process, right? People want to buy your clients, your MRR. People want to buy your contracts, your all
Yep.
of that's what people, they don't want to buy you, man. Sorry. They don't want to, they want to buy the
Yeah.
business. And a lot of people, because they're wrapped up with that identity, right, feel like there's this ownership. And I'm not poo-pooing on this because I mean there's a part of me that is part of the company. But when you
Right?
go, right, to go sell, having good vendors and being cost optimized is higher than you as an owner,
Yeah.
as an
Yeah.
asset.
And if you've come in, if you're listening to this and you've come into a company, imagine coming into a company saying, I found all of this money over the last 3 years. I am reallocating that into marketing and sales. And in year one saw significant growth. Someone is going to be like, what? Wow. So you
Yeah,
didn't,
exactly.
you, excuse me? Right? That it's coming back to Dinesh, that you said a way of thinking. And Tom, I really do think that that's a common thread across Stack to
It really
Scale.
is. I do.
Yep.
It's the way of thinking. Entrepreneurs, seasoned business owners who are growing companies and selling them, right, at maximum valuation, have a way of thinking that a lot of folks just didn't know. Oh, it's like aha moments all over the place. So Dinesh,
Yep,
we appreciate you being here, man,
we
and
do.
helping us kind of with our way of thinking, right? And our clients
Yes.
and our listeners' way of thinking, how can people reach out to you and connect with you?
So my LinkedIn URL is there. My contact number and my email address is listed there on the podcast. So it's dinesh.mohangupta at schooleymutual.com. My number 437-984-2304 and my LinkedIn URL Dinesh Money Saver. You can reach out either ways, and I'm definitely happy to come and look at it. Spend 15 minutes time with me, and we'll make it worth it for you and help you, optimize your expenses.
Excellent.
I
Good way
think
to close out.
that says it. Congrats, Dinesh. Thank you for helping clients all over the world. I love it, man. It's awesome. All right.
I
Take care, y'all.
thank Tom for the opportunity. It was fantastic, having this discussion. Hope to, add a lot of value to your, client base.
You got it. You got it. We
Thanks.
will. We're going to do that. 2026.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe and turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode. Click here for more great content to help you scale smarter. If this episode was valuable for you, share it with a friend and drop a comment below. And when you're ready to scale, visit us at ninestonepartners.com. Until next time, keep stacking, keep scaling.